Tim Robbie, president of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. Congratulations on advancing to the NASL Championship Series. Obviously, your family founded this team, and you were heavily involved in the first incarnation of the Strikers in the original NASL, 1977 to 1983. Take us through some of your memories, particularly, let's start with the 1980 Soccer Bowl at RFK Stadium against the Cosmos.
Yeah, we made it to the Soccer Bowl in 1980. We had a great atmosphere for the playoff games here at Lockhart, and the fans were chanting "Soccer Bowl" as the clock was winding down in the final playoff game here. And we were filling up the stadium. It was really a terrific atmosphere. And then we went and played at RFK Stadium in Washington D.C. against the Cosmos. And I remember that we were concerned going into that game that we were kind of nicked up. Gerd Mueller had a hamstring injury and tried to go, but we had to take him out about halfway through the first half. And of course, he was our catalyst as far as goal scoring and producing up front. That loss hurt us, and we kept the game close. The final score of 3-0 for the Cosmos, I thought, flattered the Cosmos a bit, because it was 1-0 until probably, if my recollection is correct, 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes left, and they scored a couple of late ones to make it look better than it was. But despite not winning the championship, it was a really successful season for the Strikers on the field, and when we were successful on the field, we were also successful in terms of attendance in those years. They seemed to feed off each other. That was our best year attendance-wise at Lockhart. I think our average attendance at that time was over 14,000, and when you do that in an 18,000 seat facility, it's really a terrific atmosphere. So that was a great year for us.
1981 and 1982 Strikers again make the playoffs, advanced fairly deep in the NASL playoffs. Memories of the games at Lockhart?
Yeah, I remember, I think it was 82, we had it down to either stoppage time or near stoppage time against Seattle. Again, the crowd was chanting "Soccer Bowl," and Roger Davies for the Seattle Sounders scored very, very late to tie the game, and then Seattle won it in overtime, and we wound up not making the championship game, the Soccer Bowl, that year. That was, I believe, 81, but could have been 82. Don't hold me to that. It's a long time ago, guys. Yeah, we had some nice playoff runs. One year, Bronco Segota really went on a tear and scored a lot of goals in the playoffs. I remember a playoff series against Minnesota where he scored virtually every goal that we scored in that playoff series. I think that was 81 also, but it could have been 82. I'm not sure. I think it was the last year the Kicks played. So whenever that was, whenever the Kicks last year was, and we played the last series against them, ironically. Yeah, there was a lot of good playoff memories. 77 is one that I should mention, because the first year that the Strikers played in the NASL playoffs, we played a game in Giant Stadium against the Cosmos that drew 77,691. I know the exact number because it was, for decades later, the largest crowd ever to watch a soccer game in the U.S.
You have the great memories of that game, and obviously also 1979, the series against, or 78-79 against the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Right, the one where we had the rainstorm, I think, in the shootout against the Rowdies up in Tampa, where guys were trying to dribble the ball in the shootout, and it was getting stuck in the mud. So that was a little disappointing to have to play a shootout to decide a series in conditions that were virtually unplayable.
So 1983, you lose to the Tulsa Roughnecks. You're eliminated from the NASL playoffs. You then move the team to Minnesota, which is
right.
Some nice symmetry with this championship series coming up.
Yeah, we could see at the time that the NASL was on its last legs, unfortunately, and in order to continue playing pro soccer in the U.S., you really had to play indoor soccer at that time. The indoor game with the dasher boards, sharing facilities with hockey teams, was becoming big in certain markets, and South Florida certainly wasn't conducive to the indoor game. So we moved the club to Minnesota with the thought that if the NASL did go down, we would play indoor up there, and that's exactly what happened. We played, the final year of the NASL was 1984, and we played in the Metrodome in Minneapolis during the '84 season, and then the NASL did in fact fold. And we, along with 3 other clubs, Chicago, the Cosmos, and San Diego, negotiated a deal with Major Indoor Soccer League to move from NASL to MISL. At that time, I think MISL had about 12 teams, so MISL became a 16-team league, and the caliber of play shot up immensely when the NASL folded, because all the players that had been in the NASL were suddenly available to play in the MISL, those that wanted to stay in the U.S. And so for several years after the NASL went down, there were a lot of really good players playing indoor soccer in the U.S. And we had a nice run up in Minnesota playing in the MISL. We had a very strong team and qualified for the playoffs and went deep in the playoffs in a number of those years. And in '84-'85, when we made it to the MISL Championship Series, which was best of 7, we had 3 games at the Met Center in Bloomington, and we sold out all 3 games, playing against a very strong San Diego team that included Bronco Segota, who had played for us in Fort Lauderdale, Fernando Clavillo, who's now with Traffic, and obviously does things for the Strikers. So, you know, there's a lot of interesting ties between the Strikers and Minnesota, and those were great years having the Strikers in Minnesota. I think there's a lot of fans, soccer fans that were around at that time that probably remember those times that we played in the Met Center in the Major Indoor Soccer League.
You got to know Buzz Lagos quite well when you were in Minnesota, and his young son, Manny.
Yes, that's right. Buzz Lagos, Manny's dad, has always been one of the prominent people in the soccer community in the Twin Cities, and he was of great help to us back in those days in terms of bridging the youth soccer and amateur soccer community with the Strikers franchise. And Buzz used to come in and help us with community relations type events, and often Manny was in tow as a kid coming into our offices. So I've known the Stars coach for many years, dating back to those times when we were playing in the mid to late '80s in Minnesota. So it's ironic that we're crossing paths again in this regard.
Tim Robbie, best of luck in the NASL Championship Series. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.